Hello and welcome back to the 343 podcast. I'm your host AF and I am alone. I am flying solo over here at Sporticast HQ. We have Jason in his gown at home, in his cozy room over there with that flag behind him. Um, Hope you guys are doing well tonight. It's a very cold evening here in Cape Town. Jason, how are you doing?
Well, as you mentioned, bro, I'm cozy. I am. It feels a bit weird. I'm sitting next to a wall now, so now there's nobody that I can turn to because now it just looks weird. But other than that, I'm good. It's chilly, so yeah, just trying to stay warm with my custom gown. It's even got my name on, so nobody can seal it at home. But still repping Gunners all the way through. So yeah, good, doing good, man.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Also joining us today, we have Ziad. Welcome back. How are you? How are you doing? It's probably not cold at all in your neck of the woods.
Nah, bro, we burning over here. I mean, the touch 50 a few days back. You see the headlines and it says cooling down. All it means is it's going to be low 40s. But yeah, we survived, man.
Yeah, and I mean, like cooling down in like with regards to the weather and cooling down with the football as well. Uh, we have Odwa joining us again, still on a high, or maybe not on a high anymore after Liverpool winning the Premier League trophy. Odwa, how are you doing?
Good, man. Happy to be back. Back as a champion. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the episode. Looking forward to the
Yeah,
episode.
man. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we are going to cover today is we're going to compare our predictions from the starting of the season and to what it actually finished up. And yeah, some of those picks are quite embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, we roll with the punches, man. We see how it goes. I don't know if he has planned it this way to not be on this episode because he knew that we're going to be doing this comparison. But it was myself, Riaz, and Odwa that did that season predictions episode. Um, I don't know. Like, let's first go through the final sort of weekend or final day of the Premier League. Ziad, I'm going to start with you. Were there any results or anything that happened on the day that sort of surprised you, or was it pretty much expected?
Well, the biggest standout there is the Villa United result. I really thought Villa would be much better than that. What a time to choose to get your first red card, Emi Martinez. Complete brain fade. I mean, Hoyland was going away from goal. And we saw later on in the same game, Hoyland got the same opportunity and just kicked it straight at the keeper. So why take a red card for that? It's just crazy. And obviously, the refereeing discussion there, Una Emery was not happy at all. But again, those touch and go moments, you can't really, harp on too much. Unfortunately, some go your way, some don't. But yeah, I really thought Villa would. All they needed was a draw because Newcastle was losing.
Yeah.
Another surprise there. Didn't expect Newcastle to lose at home to Everton. But yeah, for me, Villa, the biggest surprise on the last day.
Yeah. It's funny though because I was scrolling through Twitter on Sunday night, and a Villa fan actually said he was like he can't make any excuses. There's 37 game weeks that you can use to get these results, and you can't count on a draw or something like that to go your way on the final day, which was a breath of fresh air actually coming from a supporter of that club, whereas everywhere else you'll find that like, oh yeah, it was a bad refereeing decision and all of those things. I mean, we've been harping on about like bad refereeing decisions all
Yeah,
season.
all the teams have got it. So, it
Yeah,
kind of evens out over the 38 games, you'd hope.
yeah, no, for sure. Odwa, on your side, um, Liverpool played to a draw, but obviously nothing really on the line over there with them. They pretty much crossed the line. Was there anything else that stood out for you? Chelsea, Newcastle, Forest, maybe?
Yeah, so yeah, the Liverpool draw against Crystal Palace, I must say, was expected. I didn't expect Liverpool to win. I didn't expect Palace to win because they're still in celebratory mode, both of the teams. But then, I was expecting Forest to win against Chelsea. That result, especially because they really wanted to go into the Champions League, and Chelsea as well. But they were considering that Forest was at home. I really expected them to show more fight, but then I guess it wasn't to be. And then the United result against Villa, that was a huge surprise for me as well, considering Villa was also in the running for the Champions League as well. So that was a bit of a surprise as well from my side. And then it was a good sporting weekend. Ending off on a positive note that never felt.
Yeah. Jason, we have Asfar in the chat saying Forest didn't have the BMT to take it all the way. I don't know if you were keeping an eye on that match on Sunday, if you were still sticking by your guns and supporting the Gunners, pun intended over there. But yeah, I'd like to have your sort of opinion on the Chelsea Forest stuff.
Yeah, so I've watched that one. I think that was the fixture game and the main game for Goal Rush, right? So you put it on and you see everything. But I think Forest, because of the immensity of what needed to happen in the game, I think it kind of messed with them a bit. I think the fact that Chelsea just had to come there and get a draw played into their favor, and then Forest just looked like when it needed to stand up and actually be counted for, the guys just looked very devoid of confidence and ideas even. I think Forest, we had spoken about this last week, they were on a downward trajectory in terms of energy and form and those things. So to see them in that last game, I think there was too much pressure. It came down to that last game, which was intense for them. And yeah, just really sad to not see them make any more prestigious European competition. I think they get Conference League, right? Or
yeah, Conference League.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would have really liked to have seen them. Europa League would have been good. I think that would have probably been the best competition for them. I wouldn't want them to go immediately back into Champions League and then have a horrible season. But yeah, let's see. It's still European football back to Nottingham after a very long time. So I think they can hold that as a big positive, but ultimately upset with how they finished the season.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that the fact that they were battling relegation last season, they basically just escaped it by the skin of their teeth, and to follow it up the following season with crossing the line to European football. But within the context of the season, I know it is a bit of a bittersweet feeling for them, because they were in the driving seat to sort of accomplish something a bit bigger. Let's just speak about the season as a whole. Obviously, like Liverpool, they were crowned champions over the weekend, but they pretty much won the title a few weeks ago already. I don't know, Ziad, if you want to just talk about how Arne Slot comes in, brand new manager in the Premier League, he's not really a global name, if you can put it that way. He's inherited a really good squad, but obviously his methodology is a bit polarizing compared to Jurgen Klopp. But yeah, finish with to accomplish that feat with a couple of weeks left in the Premier League, it's still a monumental achievement for him.
Yeah, I really like the way you went about things. From a coaching perspective, just coming in and looking at what you have, assessing all your options, and then realizing that you're not going to be able to go sign 100 players, whatever the case is, and just working with what you have. A couple of small tweaks tactically. You got the best out of Ryan Gravenberch, which Klopp wasn't doing. And then, I think just being able to squeeze out every ounce of performance that you could get from these guys, get them to play as a unit. I think he did a fantastic job. And for me, one of the things that stood out from his management and his style of doing things is his in-game management. He often made substitutions at key points. He didn't really wait. And you wouldn't hesitate to throw on 2 to 3 guys in one go and just change the complexity of the game. So I thought he did a fantastic job. Coming in the first season, never easy. It also does help when you have easily one of the best players in the world firing on all cylinders in Mohamed Salah, obviously in a contract year as well. So there's a couple of things that you'd say would kind of not fall into place, but like, it was lined up really well, man. Virgil, Salah, Trent having to play essentially to prove that they can get the money that they're asking for and so on. But overall, Slot, fantastic, A plus, great season. And the interesting thing now is to see how he follows it up. Because set the bar quite high.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, just going back to that in-game management, he monitored the game so well, like in terms of if his players were on yellow cards. You get some managers that let the players linger a little bit longer on the pitch. And they are sort of in danger of like being sent off. But the moment he sees that the player is sort of going in for tackles too often, gets the yellow card, that player comes off immediately, just to try and minimize the risk of them going down to 10 men. And I think that was quite noteworthy to accomplish what he did. Odua, so I'm asking you guys questions about teams that you guys don't support to add some more spice to it. Odua, you have Arsenal that finished up runner up again this year. With Man City going off the boil, they might have thought that this could have been something within their grasp. What do you think went wrong for Arteta this season?
I mean, I think it's well documented at the moment. I think there's no interview that went by without Arteta mentioning the injuries that they were having on the team, mainly in the striking department. So, yeah, some might call it an excuse because, all the teams usually have injuries when it comes towards the end of the season or in the middle of the season, approaching the end of the season. But then even with the players, even with the strikers on the field, I don't think they were as convincing as Liverpool were. I think December, January, around that period. I don't think Arsenal were as convincing as Liverpool around that period. And then I feel like they also lost it around December to January. So, yeah, man, I guess for them, they can say it's injuries, but then it's also a lot of inconsistency within the Arsenal team, Arteta, and his players. In some games, I felt like the situations whereby he shouldn't have played certain players, but then I'm celebrating because I'm a Liverpool fan. But yeah, so I think it boils down to the attitude and their players not having or never won the league like any of those players apart from Sterling. I think none of those players have won the league, so it also goes to that with the experience and game management and all that stuff. I guess it was a story of we'll see what happens next season for Arsenal.
I'm just gonna harp on the fact that I think if Arsenal had a number 9 this season, it could have been a completely different story. I'm sticking by the fact that the lack of number 9 and even just the injury to Kai Havertz, who was the sort of only number 9 or target man, and he was injured for a large chunk of the season towards the end, and then the Gabriel injury as well. I think people are forgetting how huge something like that would be for Arsenal at the back. Kiwior didn't do a bad job. He sort of deputized quite well alongside Saliba. But I mean, Gabriel, he's probably top 3 or top 4 defenders in the Premier League. So to lose somebody that big is it's definitely, you're going to pay the price at the end of the season. Jason, I'm going to move on to you. I don't know if you want to chip in quickly with the Arsenal comment before my question.
Nah, it's fine, man. I fully agree. I think the injuries, I think not being back in that January window, Gabriel Jesus, Saka got injured in December, and then Arteta, everybody was crying out for somebody just to add extra legs somewhere, and he was obviously not backed. So that was a clear thing. I think the sort of decisions, it's very hard to look past that because teams were not handed the same sort of luck that we got. I say luck in inverted commas. But yeah, there's a lot of factors. But again, it's what you can play that's right in front of you. And I think that Liverpool did very well this season, in a season where the two that were challenging in the last two seasons were not there. Liverpool stepped in perfectly. That was fine. Absolutely perfect. So yeah, I think that is all my comments. I don't want to start crying on the stream. People have seen enough of my tears already.
No, so like I'm going to ask you about two teams. I'm going to ask you about Chelsea and Newcastle. And I think Newcastle have had a bit of a roller coaster season. Like some parts they were like really good, some parts they sort of papered off and like they didn't look themselves anymore. And then you get Chelsea that hasn't really played the best brand of football also, but they sort of like grinded out results when they needed to. Do you think both of those teams were deserving of Champions League football at the end, like considering the entire season that went past?
Yeah, a tricky question. I think if they both missed out, I think it would have been fine. Like you said, form has been up and down. I don't think either team showed what was necessary. It's just at key moments, other teams fell. So it's not really of them deserving it as much as teams just fell away. Chelsea, I think, with all the money they spent, you're expecting that. So for large parts of the season where they were possibly third and they should have cemented it and they fell away, you had to really wonder whether it was going to happen for them this season. And okay, they got it by the skin of their teeth, which is fine. Newcastle, I feel possibly underperformed with the team that they had. They had Isak fit for most of the season, and it showed when they were flying really high. But then, a bit of issues and kind of faulted them a bit. So, I think the pedigree comes through. And Newcastle, having played very well over the last few seasons, showed that they were able to get in. Although at times before Man United scored, it looked like they just didn't care about it. And then when Everton scored, it looked like they really didn't have any answers. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how these teams manage, especially with the number of injuries that I think Newcastle had, and then Chelsea with a really indecision about who is their best first 11. So that's going to be interesting when you're playing against teams that are better and in a higher competition. So I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's also going to be interesting to see how Chelsea sort of add to their squad and who they let go. I saw that there's Benoit Badiashile, Axel Disasi, João Felix. I think there were like 9 players that could be out the door by the 1st of June, which is crazy, seeing that there's about like 40 of them on the books at the moment.
They've also got quite a few returners, right? So they can take Raheem Sterling back. Thanks, no thanks. But if we are going to go shopping there, I'm sure there's a few players that can add some depth for us, which is, I think, something that we lack this season. But understanding that the best few seasons they had is with a strong spine, and we've mentioned this time and time again, they need to ensure that they've got a solid centre-back pairing that's going to start, but also that has a bit more experience than these guys that they played. They need to sort out the keeper. And then, I think Nicholas Jackson is good, but similar when we started Marino and even when we start Havertz, these guys can play and they can get you somewhere close. But in the moments where you need to count on them, unfortunately, it might not be as clinical as you want your centre forward to be. And in the instance where Cole Palmer goes off the boil and suddenly you're asking Jadon Sancho or maybe Pedro Neto or Enzo Fernandez to do something for you, it kind of leaves you a bit thin. So, they probably go in for another striker, which takes their total to like 6 or 7. But,
they actually opened talks this morning with Hugo Ekitike. So, I think that that he might be a good fit there. But I mean, they've bought so many people that we thought could be a good fit, and like Badiashile, for example, Desasi, they bought him like a season and a half ago, and they were viewed as like youngsters for the future. But now it seems like, okay, they rather just going to be moved on instead. Ziad, any input on Chelsea right now before we move on?
Yeah, Chelsea's interesting, man. It's a full-time job just to know who actually is contracted by that club. And people that they have on loan elsewhere and who they have coming back and so on. But the funny thing with Chelsea is, and I think what you're seeing is in contrast to a team like maybe Liverpool, where the manager and the management, so probably the sporting director and so on, whoever that is, you got to understand the type of players that you're bringing into your club, right? So you spoke now about Badiashile, Desasi, players like that. Some players want to know what their role is in the squad specifically. So, for example, Badiashile might be the type of person who needs to know he's the number one centre back or the number two, or he's the backup, right? But when you have 7 or 8 options, you kind of don't have that confidence because you always feel like you're playing for your spot, for example. And that's my biggest issue with a big squad, is that if you don't have the right balance of players and personalities, then it's very difficult for players to perform because they always feel like they're playing for their spot. So when you contrast that to maybe a Liverpool who have a smaller squad with more predetermined roles, you look at Forest who have a very small squad, use the same players often. Even Arsenal tend to use a smaller group of players. Everyone kind of knows where they fit in the ecosystem, and there's that confidence that, look, if I have a bad game, I'm not going to lose my spot. But if I have a bad 3 games, then I could lose my spot. On the flip side, you also have players who need the competition, otherwise they become complacent. So you kind of have to find the sweet spot with regard to that. And the key is to knowing the players' personalities that you're signing. And I feel that Chelsea are just looking at like how you play Football Manager. You look at these guys on a piece of paper and you're like, this looks like a good prospect. This guy looks talented. Let's bring him in. But no one in Chelsea is thinking about chemistry. How does Fofana play with Badiashile? How does Fofana play with Cucurella, for example? Does Mudryk fit with Cucurella on the left? How do they link up with Jackson? Who's the best player to play with Jackson, etc.? So I think that's what they need to look at going forward. But obviously they have the money, they have the talent. It's just, can they get those small things right to excel further?
Yeah, and I think also Enzo Maresca, like he came in at the starting of the season, and he sort of like it took a couple of months for the players to sort of get on board with his brand of football. And as the season went on, like he's also sort of frozen out some people that he didn't really believe in. But I think he's found the people that he can trust now. At the starting of the season, we used to take the piss with Cucurella. We used to say that no, this guy is going to be their weak link or something. And he turned out to be the clutch player for the majority of the last couple of months. So,
and what coincided with the last couple of months, AF? Who left the club in January? Who won the FA Cup now? Chilwell, who was his competition for the left back spot. You get the guy's gone. Cucurella knows I'm starting every game as a preferred left back. You get amazing performance. So maybe he just needed that confidence. It was the same at Brighton, right? I mean, we couldn't believe he was signed for that price, but at Brighton he was really good because he was the number 1 left back. And he just seemed like that type of player.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it wasn't only Ben Chilwell that left, it was Renato Vega as well.
I don't even know what that is.
And he was sent
like
out on loan.
Character.
Nah, he plays like one as well, yeah. He was sent out on loan to Juventus, and Juventus wants to sign him on loan again for another season. You know how the Italian clubs go. They don't want to pay the money. They rather just want to get the players on loan instead. So, yeah, like that's going to be another one to look at. There's a lot of Chelsea fans that rate him quite highly. That, like, I mean, the Juventus fans as well. They really took to him in his loan spell now. So there definitely is a good player in there. But it's like off season, we'll be able to you'll be able to determine who Maresca actually wants in his squad. Another team that finished in the Champions League spots, Man City, they went off the boil for a large part of the season. I think everybody thought that they were that they would probably end up missing Champions League football. Are you guys surprised that they sort of like over the last 6 game weeks, they sort of just like pressed the pedal and sprinted their way back to the top 3 spots? Odwa?
Yeah, man. I mean, at the start of the season, I was expecting Chelsea to do well with the amount of players they bought. But then, yeah, the season went. I felt like they had way too many players. They weren't sure, as Ziad has mentioned, they weren't sure who should be playing on their starting 11, who should be on the bench, who should be starting, who shouldn't be starting. A lot of positions had 2 or 3 players. So yeah, there's a lot of being unsure from the coach's side and the player side. So yeah, as the season progressed, I wasn't sure that Chelsea were going to make top 4. I was very surprised by the last few weeks when they needed to win their games, and they actually did, without playing well, without having any brilliant moments. They just did the job, which is what was required from them. So I was very surprised. I'm still surprised that they're in the top 3, but then they did well. But then I wasn't expecting it.
And what do you think about Man City? Like, they also went off the boil, like for a large part of the season.
Is he with us there?
Odwa, can you hear us? I think Odwa's having some connectivity issues over there. I don't know if you guys want to jump in real quick.
Yeah. I'll talk about City. I mean, look, they lost Rodri very early into the season, and it seems like they couldn't figure that out. January came around, pumped in 200 mil, and still also didn't look like they were going to make it. But it's just that same pedigree that they show every season when they ran Arsenal in the last 2 seasons just comes to the fore. And it's players that have been in this running, players that know what they need to do. So it's games that you can afford to sort of not show up but still get points. So, yeah, I also think the squad is, I think they're getting to a point where for the last 6 or 7 years, they've been competing on all fronts. So I think it's by time that they start to slow down a bit. I think what we'll see besides De Bruyne leaving, I think we'll see a lot of the older guys being used a bit more sparingly, and they'll probably have a good off-season and a good pre-season again, and then they just go at it again.
But they literally have the Club World Cup in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then
they have
maybe
to navigate that. They have to
navigate
navigate that with the ins and outs, whoever's leaving and whoever's coming. But
Yeah.
would you be surprised if they actually go and win this thing?
Not at all. I mean, they obviously need to watch out for Sundowns, but besides that, I think they still have the squad, and I think what you have is a chance to basically prep. I don't think it's the highest priority to win this thing, but they have a chance to prep for this new season, and I think they'll navigate that and a different charge as well. I don't think they'll get any of those charges. I think they'll get slapped with a fine, maybe like a 2-window ban or something like that, but it's not going to be ever. They're not going to be relegated. They're not going to be docked points at the start. It's never going to be that way, because losing Man City means you lose a big part of the Premier League product, and I don't think that's what they want.
It's wild to even think about that.
Yeah, honestly. It's like everybody knows it's bad. Everybody understands that other teams get punished for it, but losing City is where the league says, you know what? That's where we're going to
Everton and Forest last season had like 2 charges each or some nonsense like that, and they both, I think it was like a -9 points for Forest. So the fact that City has 130 of them and they'll just get a slap on the wrist is quite wild.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, right, this thing's taking so long to resolve, but other teams know where they stand like very quickly. Like, for example, Newcastle, they were looking at the points deduction, so they sold 2 players or something. I think it was Elliot Anderson and another player. Elliot Anderson was sold, right? So there was if other teams know where they stand and they make moves, even Villa selling John Duran, for example, it was all geared towards just making sure that they meet the criteria. How can the City thing drag on so long, man? It makes absolutely no sense. And I think they're just scared of the appeals process and all these things that City are throwing at them with their team of lawyers, and that's why we're stuck in this flux, not knowing what can happen. Whereas other teams know exactly where they stand, which is weird.
Yeah, 100%. And I saw for the Club World Cup, they are actually opening the transfer window a bit earlier. There's going to be a 10-day window that's going to be open from the start of June.
That's to get that's to get Cristiano Ronaldo into a team that's playing in the Club World Cup.
I saw Rayo Vallecano wants to sign him, but
he's gonna play for one of these teams, guaranteed.
Just watch. It's going to be like a crazy Inter Miami. We're finally going to get Ronaldo and Messi on the same team. I think the world's not ready for that. I don't think any tournament is ready for that.
Inter Miami is like on a self-combustion mode at the moment. They're all fighting. They can't win. Yeah. You got Mascherano, Messi, Busquets. It's just chaos at that club. Suarez. I don't know what's happening there. And now they have to come into this Club World Cup. And the whole of America is against them because they don't deserve to be in, according to the MLS and the larger group on that side. So, yeah, not fun.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like the fact that they were just added into the Club World Cup. So, yeah, like nothing you can do about that.
If I have to stop you there quickly, I think Ramiz has a fantastic question. If you and Odwa or you or Odwa want to just give it some thought and answer.
I'm not going to delve into that. I don't know if Odwa is back yet for him to give his 50 cents on that. Pun very much intended. Because 50 Cent is absolutely loving every bit of this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm not really going to speak about United and Spurs right now because we're already 34 minutes into this and we still have a Champions League preview and a Conference League preview to do. Jason, you can just keep an eye on when the Conference League team is going to be released. So I think we can do the UCL first. But before we do that, let's just do a comparison of our predictions for the starting of the season. And it is a bit wild. We have Odwa first, saying Arsenal wins the league, City in second, Liverpool third, United fourth, Chelsea in fifth, and Villa or Newcastle sixth. So for the most part, Odwa, you were on the ball there. What do you think went wrong in that top six?
I think I think we've mentioned Arsenal what went wrong there. But then I was anticipating City to not do well this season, which is why I didn't give them first, and did have. I just wasn't. I wasn't expecting Arsenal to go through the rough patch that they did. That's something that's not normal to Arsenal. And then Liverpool with the new manager, not buying players. I didn't expect us to win the league. Then I did think that we were going to make top four. And United, that was a wild one. I didn't think. I didn't think United would be sitting where they're sitting at the moment. I thought they'd at least be in the top five. But it didn't work out for them. I think the rest, Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle. I was expecting them to be around the Champions League spots, even if it's Europa or Conference League. But I was still expecting them to be around, which is what happened. And then I guess the only disappointment there is United. Everyone is still around the Champions League, except for United. Yeah. Guess that's it.
And like he says in the chat here, United lost today as well against people that probably don't. They probably never in the wildest dreams would think that they would be playing against Manchester United at this time of the year. That's normally like preseason stuff. So yeah, it's just
United just can't get a break. United lost against a team that's only played twice.
Sorry?
I was saying United lost against a team that's only ever played twice.
They played twice. What do you mean?
It's an all-star team.
Yeah. My top 6. You guys disappointed me again. I'm just not gonna predict Arsenal to win the league again in future prediction episodes.
Nah, but I think we need to skip over AF's ones, but he's got Arsenal winning the league. He's got Spurs in 5th. He's got United in 3rd.
Nah, 2 pretenders in
there. I think you need to go for some rehab during the off season, bro.
There's 3 pretenders in there. We have Arsenal winning the league in the first pretender, and United and Spurs being in the top 6 when they were fighting relegation. So I'm just gonna move on from my predictions and go to Riaz that predicted Man City to win. And I think all of us at the back of our minds knew that wasn't going to happen. But for the most part, the rest of his predictions, also with the exception of United, also seems about like par for the course. And then we have our relegation predictions here.
Yeah.
Ottawa, Everton, Forest, Wolves. I think that was all out. Myself, Everton, Forest, and Ipswich. So every season, I'm going to predict Everton to be relegated. So that's never going to change.
United and Spurs now.
Yeah, no. So, and Forest, the fact that Forest like hit so much higher above their weight this season it's actually a really good success story, because they were like down in the dumps last season with all of those like charges against them. Also, they still managed to stay in the Premier League, and then they just went above and beyond this season and proved everybody wrong. So yeah, good on them. And yeah, I think they'll probably be in the Premier League for a while now, because they have the backing to do it. Their owner is a madman, so he's gonna try to win at any cost. And then Riaz, Leicester, Southampton, and Wolves probably came the closest. So just one team out. So yeah, good picks from him. Cool. UCL final on Saturday. PSG versus Inter Milan. Jason, PSG is probably a bit of a sore point for you right now. Do you want to speak about them, or do you want to pass PSG on to somebody else and you can speak about Inter Milan? I'll put the ball in your court.
I'll talk about PSG just because, look, if you beat us, then you have to win the whole thing, isn't it?
There we go.
But, yeah, I think it's probably the best opportunity in recent years to win it. And if it's a season where teams who haven't won a trophy win something, then I actually wouldn't mind PSG, especially the heartwarming story about Luis Enrique and his daughter that had passed on. I think you have to give it that all the vibes are going towards them. Whether the ownership is a different story, a lot of rumors going around how they run things there, Qatar and all those things. But yeah, I think PSG have probably on paper the most informed team. Inter sort of faltered a bit in the league, and thus we saw Napoli winning it. But also, PSG didn't have to play against Scott McTominay, so that's also something else you have to consider. So yeah, I'm going to back PSG. I think they hit their stride at the correct time. They finished the league up as they always do, but then in getting to the final, they had to overcome a fair few good teams, and they showed in all those games that there was a consistent brand of football, but also many ways that they could solve different problems that were created during these games. So I think Inter's defense probably caused them the biggest challenge, but I think they've got enough quality to actually go through and actually win it. And yeah, I'd actually love it. Really love it.
Yeah, and I mean, you have the Mbappe thing also. I want to go to a team that's going to win the Champions League. So I'm hoping for it, man. Like I will be there, the Mbappe meme.
But also, how many players? Like I think in the time of Eto'o and Zlatan, they did like a little switch, right? So Zlatan was at Inter, then he went to Barca, Eto'o went to Inter, and then Inter win it, and then Zlatan leaves without winning a Champions League. So yeah, I think in Kylian Mbappe's case specifically, you are going to want to watch that game, a little through closed eyes, and it will be quite intriguing to see what he's going to do and how he's going to celebrate, because also most of the team is filled with like a fair few French internationals, so those vibes are going to be a bit awkward when they eventually link up.
Yeah, no, for sure. Ziad, do you think, speaking from an Inter Milan point of view, I know you have some Italian sort of backing in your blood there. They sort of messed it up in the Serie A for the Scudetto. They were in the driving seat for a large part of the season as well. Didn't really see that through at the end. Do you think that if they don't come clutch this Saturday, that the season is a failure?
I have no comment on whether or not it's a failure. But I think from their perspective, they do have the kind of team that's good in cup competitions, and this type of game suits them. You see, normally they set up, quite rigid in their framework, and they got the two strikers up front, Lautaro Martinez and I think Marcus Thuram. So they also showed against Barca they can hang with it if they need to score goals and so on. But I think a KG Cup final will suit them a bit better than it would suit PSG. In PSG's favor would be if they can score early, then it does change the game quite a bit. But the longer that game stays 0-0, I'm leaning towards Inter.
Okay. The thing is, the game against Barcelona, both teams were just like, they were scoring goals for fun. So the defense was basically the doors left open and people could just walk in whenever they wanted to. That's something that PSG, like, they are very well drilled. Although I don't know if you have the connectivity, if you're hearing us or whatever. But just from your point of view, how do you think both teams will end up setting up? We know that PSG loves playing that fast, fluid football, but Inter Milan, the sort of back three, back five at a time, can be quite open to these attacks.
Yeah, I think Inter Milan have been playing in a sort of way that contradicts the Italian teams, because the Italian teams are known for not conceding a lot, and in the Champions League, and then we've seen against Barcelona that they conceded a lot of goals, even though they did score many. I think PSG has a lot of is solid in defense, and their attack is very good. So yeah, if they can weather the storm within the first 15 minutes and then not concede around the first half, then I think Inter have a chance of winning it. But then I doubt that's going to happen. I think from the word go, PSG is going to be on top of Inter Milan, and I think Inter is going to take it.
Okay. Cool. We can wrap up with a sort of key battle for everybody and then predictions. Jason, if you can pinpoint a key battle for that game, who would it be and where would it be?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on that midfield again. I think PSG's strengths are Vitinha, João Neves, and I don't know who the third midfielder is, if it's Desiree Doué who's going to drop in there or if it's somebody else. But I'd say their battle against your Barella, Mkhitaryan, Chanalongo, that's going to really set the tone. And I think it's where most of the battles and most of the front football comes from. So I'd say that is probably one of the biggest things. And then, yeah, just I think for PSG specifically, the defense is really good. So how they're going to manage Martinez and Marcus Thuram, because they have developed quite a good partnership. So that's going to be interesting as well for me. I think defensively Inter are solid, but yeah, if I were to put a main battle, I'm going to say those midfield matchups would probably be for me.
That's fair. Ziad, Ramiz says it's going to be battle of the goalkeepers. Inter Milan got rid of Andre Onana and they upgraded to Sommer. And then on the other side, we have Donnarumma that's basically been Superman since the knockout started. What are your feelings on the two goalkeepers in this match?
Yeah, I agree with that battle of the goalkeepers. The big one to watch out is Martinez against Donnarumma. He could easily keep PSG in the game. But that's interesting because the goalkeepers do come under the spotlight in this type of game, and especially if it goes to penalties. It could be very interesting. One's going to leave a hero and one, might not. They've both been solid. Like Sommer's been really good since he's been at Inter. Donnarumma's been up and down, I think. I don't think he's been as good as what we thought he would be at the beginning, but he's grown considerably into some good form and into a really good goalkeeper. Not obviously the best in the world, but he's a very, very good shot stopper.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Odua, in terms of wingers for this game, you have Bradley Barcola, Desiree Doué, and then for Inter Milan, you have Federico Di Marco, somebody like him pushing up from the wing-back spots. That sort of leaves that left-back spot open when he pushes that far up. Is that something that PSG is probably going to keep at the back of their mind? Somebody like Desiree Doué that loves to sort of find these open spaces and try to take on the defenders?
Yeah, I think so. I'm anticipating Doué to start ahead of Barcola. And if you notice as well, if Dembele drops in the midfield, then Doué usually takes up that position. So I think that's exactly what's going to happen on Saturday. I think we might see a goal happening from the wings. I think Doué is going to score on Saturday. I'm willing to bet on it.
Cool. Yeah, I think the main man's going to be Kvaratskhelia. Is that how you say it? Something like it.
Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the main man. He hasn't really lit up the competition yet. He's had really good passages of play and stuff like that, but it's not been he's run the entire match on his own. And I think the final is meant for him. I think coming from Napoli as well against Inter Milan, I think it's going to be a really good performance from him. And I think he's going to be one of the goal scorers in a 2-1 win for PSG. Jason? Predictions?
Prediction time, man. I think it's going to be very cagey. I think it will be... I don't want to just agree with you, but it feels like it's going to be a 2-1. I actually think it's going to be 2-0 PSG.
Okay, that's fair. Who's one of your scorers?
I'm going to give it to my Ballon d'Or nominee, Ousmane Dembele. Dembouz.
Odua, predictions and one of the scorers in your prediction.
I think 1-0 to PSG. Doué is going to score.
Ooh.
Okay.
The kid.
Yeah, round us off over there.
1-0 after 120 minutes of football, and then PSG to win it on penalties.
Okay. I don't like the fact that I'm probably going to be up until 12:30, 1 a.m. watching this, but it's okay. We roll with it. Jason, did the Conference League lineups come out yet?
Yes, they have. I've got it. Let's start with the team that's going to win, Real Betis. So they've got Adrian.
Isn't it just Anthony 11 times? Oh.
It could be, but they've also got a Liverpool player in here. So Adrian in the polls. You got Yusuf Sabali, Mark Batra, former Barca, Nathan. I don't know who that is. Ricardo Rodriguez, the Swiss international. In the midfield, the throwback, Pablo Fornals, Johnny Cardosa. Number 7, everybody's GOAT, Anthony, playing next to Isco, everybody's original GOAT. Abde Ezaouli, I think formerly of Barca, and then Cedric Bakumba of, I think, not Cote d'Ivoire, might be DRC, to be honest. And then Chelsea, we're going to go from the back. We've got Philip Jorgensen, so Sanchez doesn't make the lineup. Marco Corella, Benoit Badiashile, Trevor Chalobah, Malo Gusto. From the formation, it looks like Moise Caicedo just in front of them. Then you got Noni Madueke, Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, Pedro Neto, and then Nicholas Jackson. So
I like how Cole Palmer was discarded for the majority of this competition, and then now in the final, like, okay, no, you're back in. We registered you. You are there for the final.
I think a big thing for Real Betis is that Giovanni Lo Celso's back. This is just some extra. So he's on the bench, but looking at the two, definitely I'm going to go with Chelsea's bench being stronger. They've got Nkunku, Colwell, Sancho, Reece James, Dewsbury Hall, and then the Timu Saka, Tariq George. So I think they definitely have those guys. But I think it's a very strong 11. I think it's both teams probably their best 11. So it's going to be an exciting game.
You'd hope guys are playing their best 11 in the final.
Well, I mean, ordinarily
There's actually an interesting storyline here with the coaches. Pellegrini actually coached Maresca at Malaga.
Oh, yeah.
He also, Maresca was on his bench at West Ham as well for 2 years. And apparently they're very, very tight. They live close to each other in Spain. So quite interesting to see them go up against each other, especially with Maresca basically going out and shouting at everybody because they finished 4th. And he said they were too young, but he's saying everyone else said they were too young. Such a weird last couple of days of him in the press. Because like he literally said they're too young and inexperienced when they were like sitting in the top of the log or close to the top, and then when everyone agreed with him, he suddenly got upset and then throwing it back in everyone's face now. That's so weird, bro.
Seems a bit crazy.
If you're listening to that, you can actually go back a couple of episodes and you can hear Riaz rant about that very fact over multiple episodes. Just doing a quick preview on this Conference League final that's happening now. I don't know, Ziad, I'm going to go to you first. And we spoke about Chelsea already earlier in terms of their squad and stuff like that, so we're not really going to delve like deeper into that. With Betis, there are a lot of players in there who have sort of come from stronger teams, so to say. It's giving very much shades of Nottingham Forest to me. Like a lot of players who didn't really make it or were discarded by like bigger teams and have sort of found home again and found a place where they like love their football and they've been rewarded with a final. Do you think that they would want it more than Chelsea, or do you think that even though like Chelsea spent like all of these like millions of pounds, they still hungry for the silverware?
I think both teams are going to want it. Everyone seems to want a trophy, regardless of what level the competition is. So it's hard to say which team wants it more. Obviously, Chelsea have already qualified for the Champions League, so winning this is kind of immaterial with regards to next season for them. But obviously, they want to end off the season with silverware. And Asfar made a good point in the chat where he said, will Chelsea be the first team to win every European trophy if they win tonight? And that is correct. So they will become the first European team to win. They've won the Champions League twice. They won the Europa League twice. They've won the Old Cup Winners' Cup. And then if they add this, then they've won all the European competitions. Betis missed out on Champions League. So for them, this is kind of their last hope for something positive in the season. So yeah, I think Betis can win, but yeah, like we say, it's probably going to end up being Chelsea.
Where did Betis finish in the La Liga? Like, do
Sixth.
they still get Europa League?
Yeah. So it doesn't
Okay.
matter if they win to qualify.
Yeah.
So it's essentially both teams just want to have a trophy. They want the parade.
Something
They want
around.
everything that goes with winning.
Yeah.
And like many people have said, no one's going to remember where you finished on the log, but they'll remember that you won a trophy. So no matter what trophy it is, it seems to be enough.
Yeah. If this happens, and like what Asfad said about Chelsea being the first team to win every European trophy, I think we have to ban Sadiq from every live moving forward if that happens, because we know he's going to chirp that fact every time.
Yeah. Don't give him more ammunition. That's what I'm saying.
He's probably not even going to watch that. So yeah, that's the only reason why I'm saying it. Odua, in terms of you, like with keeping both teams in mind, do you think Chelsea, we know the quality that they have in their squad, but do you think that Betis won't even be looking at that and thinking that they can be overpowered? Do you think that they're going to be backing themselves to actually get something past this Chelsea team?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Betis has anything to lose, right? They can just go in there, be themselves, and play to the best of their ability. And there's a couple of players that want to prove something to their old clubs, like Isco and Anthony. So, yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good game. I think Betis will do well. I think they'll score, but then I think against Chelsea's quality, I think they'll lose 2-1.
Okay. So you're going for a Betis 2-1 win.
Loss.
Okay. Cool. Jason, can you get your predictions?
I'm gonna back Anthony, man. I think it's gonna be 2-1 Betis.
Okay, Ziad. Is Ziad with us?
Yeah, easy. He just had a very intense stay there.
Yeah.
But he could be with us. He's moving around. Yo, this connection hasn't been good.
I think he's losing us. He's losing us. I'll give my predictions along. I'm gonna go with a 1-0 Betis. I think it's gonna be quite cagey. I think both teams are going to be set up in a way to not concede. But yeah, I think Betis will come away with the win, and I think it will be very, very deserved for them to get that.
Yeah, it seems to me that we've lost Ziad. He's there, but the audio seems to be down, so we'll just wait for a prediction. But yeah, just to echo what Odo was saying, there's really nothing to lose. Betis have made it this far, and it's been against all of the odds. So I think they should go. They should go out and just play without any sort of. I think the key battle, if we are going to put we're going to put a key battle, or two actually, is whether Isco gets to occupy those spaces or whether Caicedo marks him, like follows him everywhere. But also, I think the inform left back against the inform right wing, Anthony against Marco Guerrero. They obviously have come up against each other when they played in the Prem. So there's that sort of familiarity, but I think both of them are in better phases of their career now in terms of form. So yeah, I think that'll be a key one because, like we said Anthony is probably the best player at the moment, and you're not supposed to fall in love with a lone player. But I think Betis have really taken to him, and his form has shown. So yeah, just as he had left, he did put a comment in to say that his prediction is Chelsea 3-1. So
you know what they say. If you're a lone player and you perform amazingly well, and the team wants to keep you, pay the bucks, man. That's all you have to do.
He's a United player, and you now need money so you can get rid of the mice infestation there at your stadium.
The same with Jadon Sancho. If Chelsea wants to keep him, pay that mandatory by inclusion. Like pay the 25 mil. Don't pay the 5 million penalty. Like what nonsense is that? Just pay the clause for Anthony. Pay the clause. If you're not going to pay the clause, somebody else is gonna. And his stocks definitely risen in the last like few months. So yeah, man. I'm just hoping for the best for my club. Just need them. That's why they're on tour right now in Malaysia, pocketing a few million over there. They don't care about losing as long as they're getting money to pay for transfers. That's all that matters. But yeah, I think that we can wrap the episode up with that. Ziad's left the stream to join the chat now, so he couldn't even say goodbye properly. But yeah, thanks Jason, Odwa, and Ziad for pulling through. Odwa, where can the people find you?
I'm on Twitter, dude Odwa. That _dude_Odwa on Twitter. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Nice. You're still going to be tweeting about Liverpool lifting a title, you know, probably until August.
Till next season.
Be tweeting about you guys being champions.
Till next season, man. Till the season starts, I'll keep on tweeting.
Nice, Jason. I know people probably know where to find you, but just say it again for the algorithm.
For the algae, yeah, at Jason_Ronnie. I haven't been as active. Needed to take a break. It was my birthday yesterday, so if you want to wish me, I will accept that. But yeah, I will be there, and I'll try and be a bit more active this evening specifically, and then hopefully on Saturday to tweet my unhinged thoughts about my Ballon d'Or candidate, Ousmane Dembele. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, just shout out Jason, everybody in the chat. Like if you don't say happy birthday to Jason, we will come to you.
Just honestly speaking, this camera work is shoddy, so sorry if I was moving around. Everybody's fine. It's not motion sickness. I'm the problem. Okay. And this is not a good omen I'm not going to give away my age, but for the year that I've turned, it's not a good omen. But anyway, it's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I am at AF Parker 642 on everything. I'm not really going to say anything else. We are at Sportycast, Blue Sky, Threads, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Sports updates every single day, literally without fail. Amazing sports updates, not only about football, not only about cricket, but NBA, golf. I mean, you name it. We are covering it all. Thanks to Ziad for that. He tweets out and he posts diligently every day. So big ups to him. But yeah, I think that is all from us today. Enjoy the final tonight. Enjoy the final on Saturday. And even though the season is over, we are still going to be having shows every single week. We're going to be bringing you guys transfer updates. We're going to be bringing you guys player profiles. And if you guys want us to cover anything, like let us know in the comments on this video. Just like, or tweet us, or just like message us, like tell us what you want us to cover, and we'll try our best to do that. But yeah, until next time, from the entire Sportycast team, see you guys next week.